Yo, yo. Good morning, good morning. We're good. We're going to be here for a little bit until I have to go for my back appointment, so we're just going to chill. I think we're on at like 4 a.m., but yeah, my schedule's pretty bad. Yeah, we got to get some back appointments. My spine needs some adjustments and taking care of still. YouTube music is a thing, yeah. I don't really use it, but it's out there. YouTube music is a thing. Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff. You just gotta listen to ads on YouTube unless you've got like an ad blocker, which is ideal. Well, these days it's I think it works. Like I've got ad block for like the wikis because the wikis just lag my PC. I can't even like use them without ad block. You just have like 3,000 ads open up and then your whole PC just shuts down. It's very strange. They do slow sites, so yeah, for sure. Ideally, it would just be like some sort of video that you watch and then you're kind of just done. It's like, here's your 30 seconds of ads, now go enjoy it free for like an hour. There's a lot of like passive ads that just kind of pop up repeatedly. It's pretty terrible. If your PC is shit, like this PC is not very good, so I can't really look at too much here, but yeah, it's not very fun. Even like OPGG for League of Legends, even that's not working. So whatever's going on those sites with ads and stuff, it's just unbearable. It is absolutely horrible. Alright, torsos. Let's do another gun. It's getting better. I have an appointment this morning for my spine again, and then Wednesday, and then Friday. So we're not out of the woods yet, but it's getting there, sir. It's much better, though, so thank you. It is infinitely better. Yeah, we're just going to be chilling here for a bit until about midday, and then I go for the appointment, and then I'll be back for, like, League. So there's not much that's going to go on right now, but we're just going to chill out, let the spine exist, take our ample breaks every hour for, like, a few minutes. Usually a minute. Yeah. But this channel should be consistent, mostly. I do want to run it at least once a day, but, you know, we gotta get back to playing League and whatnot soon. And then next season, prepare for, like, Challenger climbing. Which is gonna be, very interesting. I am very behind on a lot of things. At least, like, entertainment-wise. Oh, fucking hell, I can't even see it. My eyes are deceiving me. My eyesight is gone. A year of eyes being glued to a screen, and my eyes are just so bad now. Ay, ay, ay. Glasses wouldn't be so bad, to be honest. I probably should have, I should have went to go get an eye appointment, which was on the menu for a bit, and then I just kind of forgot. I need an eye appointment, and I need an ear appointment. Those two things are, like, ideal. Fuck is with my hair. Yeah, those two things I'd like to get, but it's a bit of a trek. It's not close. But, you know, health calls. What was I working on? Oh, handgun. One sec. Pillow. This pillow behind my back. Better. Alrighty. More comfortable. Yeah, you only realize it when it's kind of too late, to be honest. That's at least how I view it. I never really thought about my own health until it started to get shit. And you just kind of live in your own little bubble. But now we're a little bit more conscious, so... Being conscious of your health is very, very important. Because if you've got no problems, why would you think about it, right? The problems are when you think about things. Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's just all about managing your body and everything you've got going on in life, and then making time for, like, not falling apart. Yeah. The guy who I'm working with, he's like, you know, as much as you could say you're never going to be in this position again because you're more aware of now what you're doing health-wise, chances are people do revert to, like, shrimping or being lazy or all of these things that they're typically known for. You know, it's just kind of your comfort zone. You just always end up going back to it one way or another. But, yeah, ideally that doesn't happen, but who knows? I've never really been in this position where, like, it's kind of hard to walk and function in my old age. Ghetto, hello, sir. Good morning, good morning. Endless cleaning limbo. Yes, sir. It's coming along, though. It's just slow. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Even my girlfriend's like, you know, when my back problem kind of showed up, I was telling her, I'm like, you don't want to end up like me. And she shrimps pretty fucking horribly. So, yeah, you just got to prevent it when you can. Try and just force yourself into healthier habits while you've still got your spinal strength. Ideally. Preventative measures. Oh yeah, if you take care of yourself, I mean, it's just like exercising. It's like, you know, people eat McDonald's and all this shit food, but then they actually take care of themselves, so it's not like you're actually eating it. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure most of us here are gamers, though. It's not like we're Olympian, you know, athletes who go around being human beings, you know? Like, yeah, it's... You make time to take care of yourself, but, like, on the internet, I'm sure most people are kind of gamified. Most Warhammer folks, at least, are also gamified. Me being one of them. Watching you do this is very calming. Is it? Does it put you to sleep? Yeah, this isn't really the most exciting thing, but you gotta do it when you make an army. This is like the least favorite thing for most people, but I kinda like it. I don't mind creating things. I'm a very slow individual. Oh yeah, you do, exactly. Whatever feels good in your current times is typically what you're just gonna be doing, you know? Like, if you're shrimping, if your spine's like fucking circle, or like if it's like a U, um, yeah, you don't think about it long term. Most people don't look towards the future when they do stupid shit. It's just like, whatever works right now, but for my case, I mean, it's certainly the culmination of like a year's worth of being a troglodyte. So I've got a lot of different things. I think for like the 2 weeks, for like the week and a half that I was gone, I've got like a back brace. I have lumbar support that I purchased. I just bought this like new desk extension that allows my elbows to be kind of planted, so it's a little bit more healthier. But, you know, you're still going to bend over because you're doing Warhammer. It's not like you can have perfect posture, but you get up, you stretch, you do things every hour. You try to stay limber for, like, most of your day, ideally, if you can. The guy I'm working with is a very big advocate of, like, you know, even if you are sitting down all day, every hour get up. Like, you don't need to get up and go for a long walk, but, like, reset yourself, right? Stretch your spine, move around the room, do toe touches. It doesn't matter, just, like, reset your body. So I'm being very conscious about that stuff right now. Every hour here, we kind of just, like, take a 2-minute break, walk around the room. I'll run an advertisement for a minute. Hey, you're good, man. Go for it. That is the goal. Stay limber, sir. Stay limber. Hmm. There's always a mold line somewhere. The worst part about doing this is you just end up knowing where things are if you've seen them before. And you don't do them, so, like, eventually when you get to painting, you're like, I remember not scraping that mold line. And it just kind of, like, fucks with your brain. At least that's how I view it. I wish I could stop caring about mold lines. Especially when half of them don't even get seen. but you just know they're there. They linger. Cool, alright. Let's do more of them. Actually, it's not done yet. Alrighty. Next body. Let's do... Is this one done? These are done. Alrighty. Torsos. More torsos. I think what I should do is actually chop off the horns. Make this guy a little bit more unique. I think I will. We're good, sir. We're just getting on. I've done this hobby forever. I've just always enjoyed it. The miniatures, the lore, the art, the gaming, just every aspect of it I've always loved since I was younger. I think the number one thing that got me into it was probably playing with, like, green army men, like little action figures and things before finding Warhammer from, like, my stepbrothers. It's just like a natural young boy progression type of thing from, like, the 2000s, you know, late 90s. Yeah. You're the gamer neck. The one thing I really don't want to go for is neck adjustments. If I ever had neck problems and I had to go to, like, a chiropractor to get my neck cracked, I've heard of so many stroke instances where, like, I'd rather just suffer than suffer with a stroke. Yeah, let's take the horns off. Yeah. Sacrilegious. My great-great-great-grandfather's helmet, who's been long dead for 300 years. Well, not 300 years, actually. 3,000 years. Yeah, I'm not sure. But if there was any sort of neck issue, I mean, I loathe that the most. For sure. Still, it's better to get help than just kind of suffer. You know, who knows what it could be. Just gotta make the effort. It just collects plastic, and I'm able to, like, wipe away any debris when I'm done kind of, like, working, so it just, like, resets the piece to see what I'm working with. Flanian, hello, sir. And Scribe, thank you both. Hello, hello. Drink the microplastics. Oh, no, it was the event that destroyed my body, for sure. It's just unfortunate that it, or maybe fortunate that it was, like, at the very end of the year, and not in, like, the middle of the event, right? So it's just, yeah, it's very unlucky, but, I mean, that's just your body, right? You can only go for so long in, like, horrible conditions. Like, when you stream 14 hours a day in a chair without exercise, it's kind of terrible. You know, you learn, though, right? You do learn. Physical therapy. Oh, you know, again, ideally people don't have to go to therapy, but, like, we're only human. We always fuck up. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do, you'll always end up kind of shrimping out one day. Or maybe you don't, and that's great. But I am not a very physically progressed individual, if you could say that. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the older you get, the more your body kind of needs help. Yeah, for sure. Again, it's preventative measures. Tell a gamer to go to the gym and they'll say, absolutely not. And then when it's like, well, my body's not working, they're gonna go. I'm kind of one of those people. Okay, one side of the helmet's pretty much almost done. The horn's, like, completely gone. It's shaved down. Almost. That's why I work out at home. If you can work out at home, that's awesome. I feel like the number one problem is sometimes when you do work out at home, you just kind of get too comfortable. It's like the discipline aspect, you're in your own zone. That's why usually people go out to gyms and, try to get out of the house as much as they can for certain things. That's at least what I've heard. I know it's certainly happened to me when I tried to work out at home at one point, but yeah, it's all a discipline mental thing for sure. It's not that it can't be done, but investment in money. Well, you always should invest in your health, which is not something I would have said a year ago, but now that I do have health problems, then yeah, for sure. Here we go. And that should pretty much be almost done. All the way to the gym, just another barrier to work out. Oh yeah, well that's the issue with me. I can't really get to a gym because it's very inconvenient. It's like incredibly out of the way. And when you work from home, it's just, you know, you probably want to stay around your place if you can, so... Yeah, building up the mental fortitude to kind of work out at home and not be 300 pounds is, I'm not 300 pounds, but we're getting there. But, like, you know, you work at it. Difficult with all the equipment. Well, that's kind of the number one problem, is you can't really get, like, a full-blown workout unless you know, like, the secrets, if you know everything. The equipment is, like, very expensive, very inconvenient to kind of lug around, and who has space for a fucking at-home gym at that, you know, caliber, unless you're, like, actually doing it for competition? Yeah, but, you know, one step at a time. Alrighty, good enough for now. I gotta do the other side. Oy, oy, oy. Oh. Ooh. Mm-mm. Yes, sir. The name is different, but I am still here. The name is different. Which I think the name is a bit more fitting for this channel, so I quite like it more. To be honest. Oh, man. I don't think he's here. I haven't seen him. I think I might have chopped off a little bit too much, but I can just sprue goo it back in, which is always a good time. Get to sprue goo it. Actually, should be pretty good. Maybe I don't need to sprue goo it. Maybe I don't. Do still. Dirt and leaves. Yeah, the Warhammer streams are going to be back, though. But again, they're just going to be... They're more or less just going to be like this. This is kind of what Warhammer is. At least when you're working on them. You know, it's not meant to be much, but it's meant to just be chill. That's it. Kind of, you know, sit down, talk a bit, get stuff done. Hobby hangout type of deal. Mochi's good, sir. He's chilling with Ivana. Both of them are sleeping. Mochi is chillin'. I have no clue. We're gonna do variety in December, but I just have no idea. My back isn't completely done. Riptide, hello, sir. Ichiro, hello, buddy. It'll be in December. I'm gonna say December is when we kind of get back to normal. Right now, it's just gonna be off and on. Like, I'm not even sleeping well these days. So, schedules are kind of weird. I've got therapy this week. I'm just gonna give it probably a week more of, like, chilling, like, on both streams, and then eventually get back to something more serious. That's the goal, at least, so... Maybe I should use a bit of sprue goo. Although I haven't opened it in like a year. It's probably gross. Right now it's 7:45 a.m. I was up at about 4 a.m. So my schedule's pretty terrible. It's been terrible for about 2 weeks since, like, being in pain. Oversleeping is not fun. Oversleeping is ghoulish. I sold all my Votan. I just wasn't really interested in them. I read a bit of their stuff. I had the minis, but I just couldn't get into them. Maybe one day I'll try again, but yeah, I pretty much got out of them completely. I do have that new book that came out, but yeah, right now I'm not too bent with 40k. Maybe in the future. Current armies? None. I've got my dwarves, which I'm working on. Everything else that I grew up with, I sold. And that was sold about 10 years ago. So, this is kind of like the official redo. This is the adulthood redo of an army. But I've still got a lot of the, I still have a shit ton of, like, old sculpts and things from way back when that have just been sitting in storage, so I've got, like, a plethora of minis to work with. But, I mean, over the years, it's been, like, 40k, AOS, Fantasy, I did Blood Bowl. You know, as a kid, it was Guard, Orcs, Empire, Orcs and Goblins, Dwarves, Lord of the Rings stuff as well with, like, Moria, Khazad-dûm. Yeah. So, this is, like, the greatest time to get back into Warhammer. I've been playing, like, what, Tabletop Sim off and on since becoming a streamer. Pretty much I got out of, like, most physical hobbying 2016-ish, roughly, I think. Through, like, the very initial phases of, like, first edition Sigmar. Yeah, so this is going to be, like, the official redo. Sisters of Battle. I have no interest in Sisters of Battle. My love of 40k kind of whittled away a little bit over the years. I don't dislike it, but, you know, my longest standing love will forever be dwarves. But, like, Warhammer Fantasy dwarves. If I was to get back into 40k, I'd probably do some sort of, like, 4th edition-esque, like, orcs, maybe Orc Army, Cadian Army, something like that, because that's kind of what I was into at the time. Yeah, 40k right now is not, like, even Votan I'd probably do. I'd just say, fuck it, let's just roll. Because they are technically space dwarves. I could do some sort of, like, rogue trader army with, like, the old squats as a proxy force for maybe, like, Guard or something, or even just play them as Votan. But, yeah, it's been a bit of a journey for 40k. It's just not something I've really kept with compared to, like, Warhammer Fantasy. $40k. I don't even know, man. I've done this my whole life. I have no clue how much I've spent. Every birthday, every piece of allowance way back when was gone to Warhammer, so. These days, it's just not, I'm not really buying much. Like, I'll buy the new books. I put an order in for a few more dwarf units that I didn't have, and I need to do some reviews on YouTube, because I do want to do YouTube content. So I've got, like, one of each sprue. Sec. For the sake of YouTube content, you know, and I will be putting them in the army, but I've got, like, one of each Old World box. Cannons, hammerers, you know, iron breakers, warriors, quarrelers, all that stuff. I've got one of each on top of what I already own. But, like, I kind of stay in my lane these days. I don't really, you know, say, oh, that looks cool, and then go buy it. I'm just not into it. There's art books, yeah. Most of them are older, though. They're all sold out on eBay. They've got a few for, like, I think it was Clint Langley for his work. They had Adrian Smith. They had a big one that is amazing for Warhammer Fantasy. They've got one for 40K. They've got, like, general Black Library ones that they used to do for, like, Age of Sigmar, Fantasy. And then currently they've got one for, like, their newer titles. So there are art books, but most of them are old and expensive and kind of out of print. They're very nice, though. I've got a few. The main channel we streamed yesterday, and we're going to be doing it later today, yeah. Orcs are fun. Yeah, you can't really go wrong with playing orcs. In Fantasy, it was just a fucking mess to even move your army because everyone was just animosity checking. They're fun. Animosity. The main issue with the art books, though, is that they don't really contain... Don't go to Amazon for anything. Amazon's prices are all over the place. Like, sellers just want like nonsense. Like, the art books are good, but they're not like the full work of most of these periods. Like, you know, tracking down every piece of commissioned art for Games Workshop is a damn near impossible task, but you know, for the ones that you can find, they've got some pretty good, you know, shots of them. The second channel got renamed. It did, sir. Well, that's kind of the point with orcs. You don't really, you don't know what you're getting into, so, like, you play them and you accept how terrible they are at times, or, you know, it's scary, right? Orcs being comic relief, as much as I like that, they're pretty fucking terrifying, you know, if you're on the receiving end of, like, a WoW, or, like, some sort of orc invasion. You know, in their minds, it's all fun and games, but for the people who are dealing with them, it's, like, nightmare fuel. And then they eat you once you're dead, so lovely. The worst thing you could deal with is an orc who can think. Like that. Good luck. If you've got any capacity to think as an orc, I mean, that's something, but yeah, pretty scary. Well, I mean, it's always said that, like, even with the Skaven, the orcs in, like, Warhammer, if they ever were to unite instead of, like, infight 24/7, they'd probably dominate the galaxy, or they'd dominate the old world. You know, Skaven, same deal with, like, all their clans and whatnot. Like, they're just too ridiculous with one another. We could have had everything. I'm good, though, man. Yeah, we're getting on. I would like to be back to normal, but, you know, only time will tell. Right now my spine feels pretty alright, honestly. It's still kind of there as like a dull pain. Like a deep-seated dull pain, but it's getting much better. Infinitely better than what it was 2 weeks ago. You just gotta move, man. You gotta get up and physically do stuff, you know? Staying limber. I know a lot of us these days are just kind of bound to the PC, or you work and then come home and you're like, fuck, I don't want to do anything. I don't blame you. But yeah, you gotta move around a little bit. Even I need to move around. I'm fucking 250 pounds. So, take care of yourself. One day at a time. Cut down on the shit food, exercise, be well. You don't need to go be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, but, like, stretching your back and moving around is probably the best for, like, the bare minimum. Which, actually, speaking of that, I should probably do it right now. Folks, I'm going to do a 1-minute ad. I will be right back. I'm just going to stand up and move around very briefly. Get up and move around, sir. Oh. Alrighty, good enough. Let's sit back down. That should be a minute, right? Give myself a minute every hour to move around. It's good. You survive. You know, I thought about setting a timer too, but for the sake of, like, when I stream, I can see what time it is on stream, so it says, like, I've streamed for 1 hour and 13 minutes. And then ideally from that, you get up every hour. I thought about doing a timer, but I don't really own any, and I don't want to buy one for that. So, it's not a bad idea, though. You could even set your phone. Your phone would be a very good alternative, I think. Okay. Fuck is on my hand? Ew. The bridge exercises. So, like, planking or something? I don't even know how many Thunders I need. I'll probably make, like, what, 20? Maybe 20 for the list? 2 squads of 10, possibly, and then just go very wide. I should have probably wrote the list before I even started to build stuff, but, like, ay. Ay. Stray, hello, sir. Usually list building is preferably done before you hobby, but that's only if you're going to play, which in this case we are going to play with this list, so we need to figure out what we're actually building. Old World! It's the GOAT, sir. Warhammer Fantasy to Old World, it is the GOAT. It forever and always will be. That's just a fact. It simply is an objective fact. The greatest. Very based of you to say. It's just objective truth, you know? People who disagree deep down believe it, but, you know, it is what it is. Vampires. I don't think the vampires are even supported right now in the old world, but there is like the second, I think it was the second Vampire War or something like that. That was like around this timeline. Like the vampires currently aren't really a thing, but like they'll be back. They should be back. Every army will get a release, like, well, a re-release more so, because a lot of this stuff comes from, like, Fantasy, which has been around for a while. Cathay getting a whole new range is fucking nuts, though. Like, that's humongous for the old world. So, considering the new Chaos releases kind of sold out almost instantly in some countries, that's good news. Yep. Was it Vlad? I thought it was... Wasn't it Conrad? We talked about this yesterday. Was it Vlad or Conrad? Thought it was... I can't remember. It's one of them. It's like, what, Vlad, Conrad, or Manfred? One of those three. But we'll see. See, that's, you know what? I thought about that yesterday. I am not going to buy a single one of those maps because with every new release, they're just going to keep updating plots on the map with, like, the new factions. There's kind of no point in buying those maps as much as I want to say, like, oh, they're great, because they do look really nice. But, like, when you buy one, it shows a few plots, and then when you wait 6 months or whatever it might be, it's going to show you more, you know? I guess for the sake of the old world, it's just more of, like, within this time frame, this is what's going on. Which is fine, but... yeah. I'm gonna try and stay away from those until they do, like, a big grand one, and until it's, like, rolled and not fucking folded. Which is the biggest sin in those maps, is that they're all folded and not rolled. That's a crime. But they do look nice. Collect them all. I collect enough shit. I think the only map that I'm going to end up framing, there's two of them. It was from one of the End Times books. There's a map of, like, the World's Edge Mountains, that was also in a few, I think it was in the 8th edition book. That I do want to frame, and then I'll also be framing the White Dwarf 300 world map. If you've seen that one's amazing. That's like the greatest one I think they've ever released physically, but it still is folded. They're all fucking folded. That's a great looking map. The new ones are nice, but yeah, they're more so blips instead of, like, the bigger picture, you know? Which, again, is my biggest gripe, is once they get updated, as you said, it's just like, I have to buy another one. Or you just buy them all, you know? Wall space being, like, the biggest problem. It's a very, very big problem. Considering GW is like, we're gonna baggage train. I want to make one of those too. What army are you making it for? That's something I think everyone has to make at least one of, right? Greenskins? Yeah. It's just a truck full of poo and broken things. They're just kind of wheeling it around. Like, once they desecrate a place, they just slop the shit on the walls. Hey, post it in the Discord, sir. I used to play Greenskins. That was fun. Yeah, that's cool. It could be anything. That's the fun of Old World. It's like, they promote creating things of old, right? Like unit fillers and flavor pieces, and then the whole, like, baggage cart kind of mechanic in some of the missions. Like, that's fun. It's very, very fun. Yeah, that's cool. Post it in the Discord, sir. I feel like a lot of the Old World is pretty lenient in terms of, like, what you're making. That's kind of how it's always been, you know, with older GW stuff. It's very much about you and kind of how you create things, and just balls to the wall fun. You don't really need to buy, like, official models for anything. You could kind of just create your own in some cases. It was a very hobbyist first type of, you know, game. Thunderers, so like handgunners. Yeah. Pretty much the same kit, though. The 24-inch AP1 strength 4 shots. Ye good old handgun. It's just more chill. It could be any songs, I don't mind, but like, you know, this channel isn't really meant to have your brain kind of ooze out of your ear. Could be anything, though. Okay, now we gotta do this. Do I want to convert this guy? I think we will. I think we'll chop off these ancestor badges. Take these two off. Take them all off, actually. I have the Octo Beard. I think I'll take them all off. Sure. Thank you, sir. Oh. Yeah, take it easy, man. Peace, buddy. Let's take all these off. I need to find a bin of, or just an empty bin to kind of place all these bits in, because you could technically still use them. You could just shave down, like, the little notches and make these parts of, a belt or something. This is Maro, M-A-R-O, M-A-R-O. It's just a bunch of, like, low-key guitar cover things. Which are good for a stream like this, because it's not so aggressive, right? Excuse me. Does anyone know what category we're in on Twitch? Is this miniatures and modeling, or is this Warhammer? Can someone just check that real quick, if you don't mind? I think I had it in, like, one or the other one. This is Holy Diver, yeah. It's just Warhammer? Okay. They ended up bringing out, I think what ended up happening is, during the main, I think it was during the event, I was notified that, like, Games Workshop was looking for streamers on Twitch to kind of promote, and then promote, like, you know, bring into, like, their partner program, so they'd send you free things and send you early releases and stuff. And I signed up for it. They never got back to me, which is very unfortunate, considering this whole channel is Warhammer. But I think at the time they were trying to make more of a presence on Twitch, and then I guess they just stopped. They didn't want to pursue it for some reason. Or not for some reason, I think it's more so that Twitch doesn't really have a big, like, Warhammer audience in its own category. Because I think most people now just go to, like, miniatures and modeling instead of the Warhammer section. Yeah. Would have been cool, though. That would have been fun. And get early releases? Like, hell yeah. So I'd chill for Games Workshop, you just send me some dwarves. Well, the Warhammer category has never been popular, period. It's never been popular. People don't really stream this stuff on Twitch, and if they do, it's in the miniatures category, which I'll just go sit in. It doesn't really matter where you are. Yeah. Miniatures and modeling is just more of like your general audience type of thing. It could be Gundam, it could be Warhammer, it could be any sort of game. But the Warhammer section in particular was never popular. And it's more of like a broad term, you know, because most people who play Warhammer games aren't going to sit in Warhammer. It's like, oh, if you're playing Space Marine, go sit in the Space Marine category type of deal. This is just more of like a hobby hangout type of thing, where there is absolutely no action and it's more just chill. Which is usually how hobbying is to begin with. You know, people just kind of relax and not do too much. Unpainted D-Bird. So the number one thing about Warhammer, I'm not going to, like, shill it, but some of the satisfaction comes from you doing it yourself. You know, the idea of, like, the casting process and everything needing to be cleaned up, most of that stems from, like, the older stuff where the molds aren't so dialed in, I suppose. Like, the injecting stuff is just like that. Like, all the excess plastic. Yeah. But there's a certain satisfaction in kind of doing it yourself. Not saying, you know, it's justified in its price because of that, but, like, Warhammer is extremely expensive compared to, well, I don't even know compared to anything, to be honest, because most hobbies are kind of expensive in themselves. It's the fact that you have to kind of buy a bunch of Warhammer to make an army if you want to play the game, and then you have to buy the books, and you have to buy the paints and the hobby supplies. It's expensive, but, like, for the sake of miniatures needing cleanup and paint, that's, like, a massive portion of its appeal. Maybe not the cleaning aspect, but, like, the hobbying aspect. You know, it's an artistic endeavor that people kind of want to pour their own interest into. The worst thing you could do is strip that away. You never want to make that something people are forced into. It's about the freedom. You got it for Christmas. Just build it, man. If you build it, at least that's one step of the way. Medicated. That's good, sir. It should not be, well, it is very pricey. Yeah, no one's going to sit here and say, man, Games Workshop prices are amazing. I love spending $100 on a box of miniatures. Like, I think, because I picked up a few boxes to kind of review because we're going to do, like, a YouTube channel. The Canon kit, I think, was about 90 Canadian dollars after tax. And that's from, like, a local game store that's not Games Workshop prices, which is absurd. Considering, I think back in the day, a Canon was like, what, $30? Adjusted for inflation, it's about the same-ish, I think, considering you get two instead of one. But yeah, it's very, it's the same thing with Lego. It's the same thing with, like, any sort of collector's hobby. I think right now Lego is being more so marketed towards adults. You know, like, I've ran the gambit with Lego. I grew up with Lego. I grew up with Warhammer. My father paid child support, we'll say that. And I would pretty much spend all my allowance money on shit like this. That's just kind of my childhood. But yeah, any sort of, like, collecting hobby, any sort of I don't need it, but I want it type of thing is exceedingly expensive. Like, even Pokemon. Ivana's biggest hobby is Pokemon, and that's just what she's been doing her whole life, and, you know, same thing with me with Warhammer. Pokemon is a whole different beast, because those guys just scalp the fuck out of everything. Like, Pokemon makes Warhammer look affordable. It is insane. Turtle, hello, sir. Lord of the Rings. I started with Lord of the Rings 2 way back when. Two Towers, Return of the King, the first set with like the goblins and the Alliance of Men. You had like the elves and the, I think it was the Numenorians. Yeah, it's, you know, a lot of these things in life that bring us joy are unfortunately very expensive. You know, you don't need to do Warhammer, but you need to do something in life that's fun. And sometimes you have to spend that money. Not have to, but like, you know, go 3D print, go buy like alternate sculpts. Find a way to kind of make it work for you within your budget. Like, all of this stuff is just for fun. You know, some people do it full time. I think for the sake of this channel, it is part of my income. I think at one point this channel was a little bit self-sustaining, which was nice, but, you know, for someone who just wants to pick up the hobby and have fun, it's a very big investment. Like, when I was in the Games Workshop, I was in a Games Workshop, this week, and, there was these two people getting into the hobby, and a lot of the people who work at the local GW that I go to they're very nice guys. They're all very kind. I was listening to, like, you know, hey, you want to do the painting and you want to do the air, not the airbrushing, the priming with the rattle cans and all this stuff and the paint brushes and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, how much is this going to be? Because I have a lot of my stuff from, like, way back when. And I think it was like a few $100s just for the supplies alone. And that's not even the miniatures. It's like, you're essentially putting down as much money as you would like a brand new console to kind of get stuck into Warhammer. Maybe a little bit less. 4K movies. Well, you can collect anything you want. Like, I've collected shit my whole life. I certainly now have my niches of, like, collecting just because it's what I've loved the most. But I've ran the gambit with everything, and all of it stems from my childhood. I'm good, sir. Samuel, hello, buddy. Yeah, we're getting on. We're just a bit tired, and I have an appointment in a few hours, so I have to go get ready soon. Warhammer 401k. I mean, you could do... You know what? You've got one life. If you have the money, go put it down on something that you enjoy. You know, take it to eBay, take it to My Mini Factory, go 3D print, go do anything. It's completely up to you. Ideally, though, you know, Warhammer isn't really about buying $1,000 worth of stuff and saying, let's do it. You know, you can start small. You can really push kits if you wanted to and say, I spent $100 on a cannon kit. You know, so instead of making them as like a cannon or an organ gun, magnetize them. You know, get into like drilling out pieces of the miniature and magnetizing them to get the most out of your money and your kit. Like, there's ways to make it work, but it's a little bit more effort for sure. But you also kind of have to realize that, like, it's unfortunate that a lot of these kits kind of have so many bits. That's a good thing, though, for, you know, converting and just overall having a horde to work from for fun. But a lot of what you pay for can sometimes just not even be used. Right? So, like, if you buy a box of Dwarf Warriors, the current box instead of, like, the previous one, you get twice as many miniatures, and you get, because of that, twice as many options. So, you know, you'll build them with, like, great weapons and shields, and then you'll have, like, fucking 40 hand weapons that don't do anything. Or for the sake of, like, this kit, the Quarrelers and Thunderers, and even Rangers came from this. You know, you'll never use these great weapons unless you build Rangers. So, like, these pieces are just gone. You know, if you build Thunderers, you're never going to give them with, like, little pouches of bolts for crossbows. It's still cool to have, but there's a lot of pieces in these kits that don't really get used, and then you're like, oh, I'll use them later. If you were able to kind of buy certain kits and say, like, hey, I want handgunners, so you buy, like, the Thunderer kit, or you buy, like, Quarrelers for the crossbows, or Rangers, it probably would be cheaper. It would be much cheaper, because you essentially just pay for things that you don't necessarily will use, you know? But yeah. Combat Patrol on average is like 400 points and still supplies for it. You know what, though? I'll say this. For the amount of money that Warhammer is, I feel like for me, because I am pretty thorough, I do get my money's worth. Mostly with kits that I work with. Like, I spend a lot of time cleaning every mold line, usually converting every miniature if I can. This army's not going to have that because I'm never going to get it done, but, like, it just depends on kind of what type of hobbyist you are and kind of how you view, again, what you buy. If it brings you immeasurable joy and you've spent like $1,000 and you're absolutely 100% for that, that's awesome. You know, it's all relative to kind of what you enjoy and how you view things and, you know, your money. Still is expensive, though. Shit. Whoops. Okay, I gotta clean this. Yeah, this channel was completely changed, though. The name was changed. I put up a YouTube channel, I put up a Twitter. Yeah, all that stuff. Oh yeah, they 100% they find it worth, absolutely. If you love what you do and, you know, at the very end of your journey, it's like, man, what a labor of love, the money isn't something you probably think about at that point. The money is what brought you that joy, unfortunately. If we could get it for free, that'd be great. But, yeah, some things just cost a little bit more, unfortunately, and it's just what it is, I guess, right now. But there is no denying this hobby is fucking expensive. Lego is expensive. Pokemon is expensive. Any sort of, like, I don't want to think about life hobby is pretty expensive. Isn't Gundams, aren't they also expensive? Depending on, like, what grade you get of Gundam? And even Gundams take a very long time. Not that I've ever really been into Gundams personally, but I know that they're, a labor of love. My back is getting better, yeah. $10K on traveling. You know what? If that's what you enjoy and you value that, then absolutely. Traveling is not something I thoroughly enjoy, but I know some people who just want to kind of get out and see the world instead of being huddled up in a hole for, like, years. But yeah, my back is getting a little bit better, for sure. Infinitely better, I'll say, than what it was a week ago. A week ago it was pretty much unbearable, but now it's much better. Yeah, I'll take a look at them in a sec. I've always got a soft spot for greenskins. That was a big army of mine way back when. I can't stomach them now. I don't think I could ever get back into them, but I certainly do have a soft spot for fungi people. Fungus man. Well, the thing about the old world is that you get twice as much product for more money. I think it's relative to like what we used to pay for like a single cannon, and now 2 cannons or like 36 dwarf warriors, or whatever it was. Now it's pretty jacked up now. The prices are pretty bad now. Yeah, because we've had like what, 2 price increases, I think, or maybe 1. Let's see. I see greenskins, sir. I remember when the Boar Boys first came out. The new Boar Boy sculpts are so good. Like, well, they're not new, but like they were for 8th edition, I believe. Or like the Ladder of 7th, I can't remember exactly, but the boars are awesome compared to the older ones that were more like squat. Yeah. Spellcrow heads, I think. The old Nazgob shaman. Even the, yeah, you're using the AOS stuff for like the what are they? Stone trolls. Yeah, those AOS stone trolls are pretty good. They're very like Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, looks good, man. The Boar Boys. This is pretty much everything I was at one point in love with as well. Big blocks of boys. Tons of variety. Like, you know, just random conversion pieces from like different kits. It's so nostalgic because it's all just from that era. Like early 2000s, mid 2000s, stuff like that. Very middle hammer, old hammer. Old, I mean, it's just, it's not popular. I understand. Old World is just, you know, for the boomers who played Warhammer Fantasy back in the day, and then now people kind of getting into, like, Total War. There was a very long, stagnant period of, like, nothing. Total War was kind of, like, the only thing that tied people over, unless they were playing, like, what, 9th Age, or still housed, like, 8th edition tournaments. I know for me, for, like, the down period between 8th edition and then Old World, it was really just kind of reading, hobbying physically with AOS with like fantasy miniatures, and then also Total War, and then collecting stuff still because I've been collecting Warhammer Fantasy merchandise for like ages. But the hobby itself for me kind of died out a little bit. Yeah, 9th Age was like the one thing that I think a lot of people got into for a bit, but it's hard to keep up with something that just isn't supported, and then the scene kind of like dies out, everyone goes their separate ways. A 9th Age Spears. I don't remember. That was a while ago. It's good stuff, though. It's not something everyone, I think, remembers or cares about, you know, because like it was just of the time, it was of that period. But the best thing to happen to Games Workshop is selling 1 million Space Marines and selling a great game that turned out to be the savior of like Warhammer Fantasy. So everything is just kind of back, you know, from the depths of like GW's warehouses. The molds have been cracked open, and you've got all the good stuff coming out again, which is awesome. Like, even the made-to-order stuff is really cool to see. All the old Forge World monsters are coming back, which is amazing. I think it's only a matter of time until, like, everything kind of comes out. Yeah, who knows? It's the resurgence of the greatest universe. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. I still kept up with it, but like I never kept up with the miniatures. I've collected stuff, a boatload of stuff over that time, but keeping up with the world and, you know, kind of going back and reading through the army books or some of the novels, that's typically what I would do. But if there's no support for a game at, like, you know, the Games Workshop, it's kind of hard to keep up with it. It's not that you can't just go in and say, hey, let's play an 8th edition game. But it's not like we're running tournaments or we're running, like, game night with, like, 8th edition or stuff like that. It's just been a long time. And then life happens and different hobbies emerge, and you're like, well, I can put this on the back burner for now. Yeah. 20, pretty much, yeah, it's like the old times. It's the nostalgia, I think, the most that, like, really gets me going with, like, the new old world stuff. I have dreamt of, like, the number one thing I want, this was for AOS back in the day, but I want a proper fucking shield. The shields are so tiny. If they ever redo Dwarf Warriors, like, please, this was for, this was like the 6th edition Empire shields, but, you know, give us like a proper shield wall. Like, throw down something that's kind of more akin to, like, the artwork and, you know, typical dwarven walls of immovable stinky men. So hopefully the new sculpts do, you know, the world justice, but Chimplo, sir. I was up at like 4 a.m. My schedule is pretty bad. How long does it take to paint a model? It just depends on how long you want to paint it for, like how detailed you want to be. Depends on also kind of, you know, your level of interest, I suppose, in painting. Like, I think this guy probably took a few hours from start to finish with, like, the base and everything. Just like a very typical tabletop style of painting, nothing crazy. It needs more highlights, if anything, actually. Yeah. A few hours for this guy, you know, same thing with this guy, just a few hours. And then I think these two maybe took like 2 days, because I put a bit more time into it, just for fun. I sculpted the pillar, all that stuff. So it really just depends on like what you want to do with the hobby. Some people take 15 minutes to paint a miniature. That's really just it. 15 minutes and you're done. Don't even think, right? Yeah. Well, they will go through and start updating sculpts. A lot of it's going to be digital now. Pretty much everything is digital. You know, so if you want to kind of have those original hand-sculpted 3-upped designs next to, like, some of the newer things, it may not look one-to-one, but it'll be nice. It'll be a good rendition of, like, something in today's times compared to what we used to have. What made you fall in love with dwarves? Probably Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. I think my mom took me to, I still have the plushies somewhere, but my mom took me to Disneyland way back when I was a kid, and for some reason I just loved the dwarves, and I brought back, like, Grumpy and all these other ones in, like, little plush form, and I think at a time as well I had, like, little fucking action figures. I think they were, like, one piece, they wouldn't move or anything, but I guess that wouldn't be an action figure. From that, it was, like, Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. It was just the aesthetic, and then, you know, the older you get, the more you read and the more you like, so it just kind of goes from there. The painting's alright. I don't really paint often, but I will be painting this army. This is going to be a 2,000 point expeditionary force. Fully painted, so that's going to be a hassle, but, you know, when you're wanting to play the game, you'll get things done. Freshman, hello, sir. $2K of dwarves. Which army was he playing? Toughness 10 King. The rune of, I forgot what rune it was called. It's like Shield Bearers, Toughness 10. The dude's like an immovable piece of shit. You can't do anything with it. The Grand Army list, yeah. For my army, I'm not going to be running any Shield Bearers, let alone even a King. Paint scheme is probably going to be Zufbar, because I'm just going to play it from the book. It's going to be Burlock Damonson's like Zufbar / other dwarf holds expeditionary force. It's a very obnoxious, cheesy thing. You literally just kind of castle, you know, if you're playing like certain missions where you have to move up the board, maybe move up a little bit, but like it's designed to just be obnoxious. So you got to fight, bro. It's some things you just have to get away from. Getting away from a king on Shield Bearers, which was probably a couple 100 points easily. Yeah. Well, it just depends on... It depends, I think... I don't really care about winning, but I like thematics in terms of, like, lists. I like the lore as well, so I'm more inclined to kind of play, like, you know, Ungrim's Slayer Host or something with, like, the Cetra's list. It's not even an Ungrim list, to be honest. That's up in the... I think it was, like, the Black Mountains or the Vaults. I could be wrong. I have to read it again, but... you know, if you do some sort of like grand army thing, it's typically going to be a little bit more open-ended, like take on all armies type of lists. Well, yeah, every game should be. Yeah, I don't care to min-max anything, but I do like the idea of like, you know, if you are going to play the expeditionary force, which is very much about mobility and shooting and, you know, black powder, it's going to be a cheesy list. Like you literally castle up, put sappers around, give everyone, like, dangerous terrain tests as they run into a gun line. Like, it's really stupid. And it's not that it's, like, goated or anything. I don't think it's actually too good, but it's fucking annoying. The art books are cool. I've never seen their art book, but if it's reasonably priced, yeah, for sure. Art books are just very expensive, unless you get them, like, day one. Day one stuff is typically where you need to be. Or you're going to get screwed over in the long run. That's usually about what an art book would be. Art books aren't cheap because they're pretty big. They're very hefty. They've got, like, full color. 45 Canadian sounds about right for something like that, yeah. If they're on sale, that's even better. Their latest album wasn't my favorite either. Yeah, I mean, if they're performing, though, you know, and you like them, I'd go. If you ever get a chance to go see bands live and, you know, go to events, I'd say it's worth it for sure. It's not going to be an everyday occurrence because these guys kind of travel the world, right? The paper is usually pretty thick, yeah. It's nice. Art books, really well done art books, are very, very nice. And they can inspire you. You know, if you do any hobbying or art yourself, it's good to look back and say, hey, this is awesome. I think the latest art book that I ended up getting was like the Ruin King one. That was years ago. And that came with the special edition, so it wasn't even like, you know, knowing how they're priced now, like I think when it first came out, they wanted 150 for like the special edition for the entire collector's box, and now that no one's buying them, they're $50. So the art book is like $10, but it's still nice, you know. They absolutely overproduced, and then the entire system went under. No, this is an expeditionary force. So these are going to be handgunners. This whole army is going to be like a 2,000-point expeditionary force led by Burlock. So like the named engineer character from like 4th and 5th edition. Which is insane to think that he actually made a return, considering he had his son kind of take over in like 8th edition. He wasn't there in 7th. I think even 6th edition he wasn't there, so it's cool to see him back. The Realms of Runeterra book is nice, yeah. I think when it comes to building armies, though, it's going to be more so... Ideally, you know, if you want to kind of dabble in everything, you'd build like a grand army, because it's just kind of the all-encapsulating, I can play anything I want. It doesn't really skew into like elite infantry or cheesy shooting or like slayers. Slayer host. It's probably the hardest army to put together. Most people take to so the biggest thing that I think will happen for the dwarves moving forward for like the old world is slayers are going to get a plastic kit. This is just what I think. We're most likely going to be getting a thunder barge along with a few different engineering-esque units because of the storyline currently in like the Arcane Journal. And then they'll revisit slayers. So you can kind of have like that all-encompassing plastic line of miniatures for like whatever army you want to build. So it's like if you want to play slayers, you don't need $3,000 of like classic metal minis. You can buy a box of like 20 plastic slayers. And then also for the sake of like the current story of the Arcane Journal, it's going to be more so focused on just engineering whatever, like war machines or a new type of like golem, something to work with like that. It would make sense, but yeah, the Slayer host is just probably the most obnoxious thing to make. Unless you go 3D printing or you go with like the Avatars of War stuff. I think guys. This is pretty much the only like plastic Slayer box to have ever been made. Outside of now like resin printing and stuff like that, but this is what most people use, and it's like compatible with 9th Age. So that's cool. Who knows? Yeah. They just run you down. I mean, even the Doom Seekers have such a weird... if you don't play a specific mission where it's like points, killing things. Is there missions like that? I haven't even played Old World yet. Is all the scoring in Old World through... I know initially when it came out, it was more so like, what, banners and killing units? Stuff like that? How are the missions structured currently in, like, the General's book? No, this guy's good, yeah. He's good to listen to. Because ideally, I mean, you know, if you're playing a King of the Hill or something, you're not going to want a castle. Standards, Flood or Dead, yeah. Well, the new... I did buy the book, but I haven't flipped through it like I have the Cetra book. Like the match play guide, right? I should probably just look through it right now. So you've got your baggage cars, okay. Baggage trains is what they're called, not cars. Is it still that most of the missions are based on killing things, or like having things route? Because you do get a few of like the secondary objectives. I haven't played a game of Old World. Not yet, at least. Mad Bro, hello, sir. We're still working on the Thunderers. Yeah, this game has... I know this one has Battle March, which is cool, because, like, I think ages ago they also had Battle March in Fantasy, where it was more of, like, a small skirmishy thing, which is fun. You know, you kind of need something like that for games anyways, because you don't want to... you don't want to bottleneck players into kind of needing $1,000 to play the game. You know, if you've got, like, a 750-point army, that should be enough to kind of just get started. Yeah. In terms of playing, I do want to get to playing, but it's just not something I've been able to do. Hopefully with this army, when it's complete, I can actually get in, play games, and, you know, kind of learn the missions and all that stuff, because it's been a while. I miss Fantasy. I really do. It has been ages. It's fun also to kind of flip through the books and just see a lot of the old art, like the Adrian Smith Dwarf Warriors. I think that was supposed to be Norse dwarves at one point. I could be wrong. Yeah, it's fun. But you can pretty much play the game with like a battalion box, yeah. But you need like HQs and stuff, right? So you're going to go out of your way to kind of purchase a few more things. Is that what this is, Californication? The lead singer of this band's kind of a... I forgot his name, but he's a character. You know, not everyone's gonna like Warhammer. If you could believe it, there was a point in time where Ivana begged me to play Warhammer. Begged me to play Warhammer. That was something. Yeah, the lead singer he's a somebody. The music is good though, for sure, and Fleabase is like a freak. He's so good. Anthony Kiedis. Yeah, I mean, it's still a big investment to kind of move over from game to game. A lot of these guys are going to probably be dads. You know, if you're playing AOS, you're just like chilling. not so 40k. You know, 40k is a bit more intense, but if you can somehow, you know, pick up Old World and say, hey, it's pretty much Age of Sigmar, just not, you know, give it a try. Who knows? AOS was once this game. Respect it. Our ancestors died so AOS could run.
Shut up, you dickhead, now fuck off!
Hey, Mad Bro, thank you, sir. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, for the sake of some stores, though, you're going to definitely have a more wider array of, like, certain players. You know, some people, I'm sure, have, like, only 40k players or only AOS players. If you had a bit of everything, that's where it's at. Or, you know, for some people who do a bit of everything, which hopefully is something I can get to one day, but it's a bit of an investment, for sure. Hey, both channels is lovely, sir. If you're subbed to both channels, that's excellent. Yeah, again, picking up a new, you know, realm from like 40k to Old World to Age of Sigmar to Kill Team to Warcry to Blood Bowl. I mean, there's a million different things you can get into, but it is very expensive. I think the number one thing is kind of staying your hand, right? Just staying in your own lane and not being tempted, if you can. I know it's not easy for some people, but it just depends on what you like, you know? What you like and maybe what your buddies are playing. It's a very, very hard thing to kind of tell yourself to not do it if you've got the funds. Thankfully, I'm a very one-dimensional person. It's kind of, it's long. Me and my buddy used to play quite a few, like, fantasy games, and it was just like, it is a lot of back and forth. It's a bit of a slow burn. Yoko, hello, buddy. Corn Blood Bowl team. See, the thing is, it's like you want it, but are you actually going to play it? It's always easy to look at something that GW puts out and says, man, those are painted well. I want those. And then you've got like 300 boxes sitting next to you that haven't even been opened. Yeah, probably just stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. That's all I gotta say. I'm too dwarf-pilled to even, like, consider anything right now. It has been a very long time of being dwarf-pilled. Nostalgia is a very hard thing to kind of move away from when you love it so much. It's like when you grow up with something and it's always kind of been there, you're just never... You're never fully out of it, you know? It's like, Orcs are always at the back of my mind, Guard are always on the back of my mind, even Empire. But, like, I know that my number one love has been Dwarves for ages, so it's just the easiest thing to get on with, where all the other things can kind of just wait. It's going to be a shit ton of gyrocopters, probably 6. maybe 6 to 8 gyros. 8 might be a little bit overkill. It'll be cannons, thunderers, Burlock Damonson, engineer sappers, maybe some rangers, maybe some miners for fun, because miners are kind of shit, but like thematically they're in there. There's no playlist now. It's just the guy I'm listening to is Maro Maro, M-A-R-O. It's just his music. Sappers are heroes. They're just little engineers that have like a 9-inch bubble of dangerous terrain. So you've got your big cheeky gun line, and then you've got like engineer sappers kind of sitting between them, so they can just give everything dangerous terrain. Yeah. You do have to build those, though. It's just going to be clattergun. I might do a mix of, like, the Expeditionary Force. Their number one thing is having scout gyrocopters, so they're a little bit... I think they're a little bit cheaper. They're less durable. And they've got a few, like, special rules for shooting. Their biggest thing is, though, clatterguns. Like, the clattergun spam is pretty obnoxious. But, you know, gyrocopters, I think, are like, what, 50 points? 60 points? Like, they're pretty damn cheap. You can't ruin them or anything, but you don't want to. Yeah, scout gyros are 60. I think this is just more so... just a cheaper, lightly armored gyrocopter, but it's got the clattergun, which is kind of what you want. Yeah. Just a lot of, like, dinky shooting. Yeah. The problem is building them. Gyrocopters are satanic. I'm just gonna use the books, which is not probably... I haven't looked into, like, the online list building stuff. I know there's been point changes. I know there's been adjustments. Like, the FAQ stuff isn't in those books, obviously, but... post it in, just, can you tell me what it is? Because we don't do links here. I haven't even looked at list building in terms of something very finite. I'm just kind of gauging in my head what's actually good for the army and what would work thematically. Wood elves. Well, I mean, nothing is forever. You know, you just kind of build an army and say, let's roll, type of deal. Smurfy, hello, sir. What is the Old World app called for, like, list building? Old World Builder. Right. Yeah, this thing. Wasn't this taken down at one point? I think this was taken down at one point, right? Might have been another one. I do remember using something like this. Dwarven Mountain Holds, Expeditionary Force, War 2000. So Burlock Damonson, Gunthane. Oh, is it outdated? Shit, you're right. Because I have a new thing. You're correct. I have a completely different I think all you need to do is kind of like put the put the stream name in it. On. My bad. It should work now. Yeah. Even the subscribe link should work.
Is that all you've got? You must have more.
I'm done working for today, going to escape into the world of cyberpunk. Breakfast on me today, good luck with the appointment.
Sorry, 1 second, buddy. Hey, yo, Minnosite, thank you so much for the $20. Damn, thank you. Sorry, my stuff is all over the place. 1 second, buddy. Gun thing. The gun thing is so cheesy. Yeah, Minnesota, I see you now. So $20, thank you. I'm done working for today, going to escape into the world of cyberpunk. Breakfast on me. I will get breakfast, actually. Thank you. And good luck with the cyberpunk. That game is, I know Zarmino. Okay, gotcha. I remember you. Yeah. Hey, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, cyberpunk is dope. That's a very good game. I think for me it was, the issue with cyberpunk was that it started out very slow and unappealing, and then it got really good, so yeah, it's a fun time, man. Thank you. And I will be buying food, don't worry. I'll get breakfast of some kind. Appreciate it. A mobile version. I'll look into this some more, but I do need to kind of build the list. I know for a fact I'm going to take Burlockson. Not Burlockson, it's Burlock Damonson. I'll do the gun thing. We'll do some engineer sappers. Core is most likely just going to be like expeditionary thunderers. It'll be a plethora of like really obnoxious, stupid shit. I'm most likely also going to take Doomseekers to kind of like guard off the artillery, maybe. Gotcha. There's a Warhammer, I think it's called Warhammer Fantasy Battles app or something, where it like lists out all the rules. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. That and then this one, pretty much. Yeah, those I'm aware of. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'll take a look at those because I do have to build the list. Tabletop RPG. Cyberpunk tabletop RPG? Wasn't it initially an RPG to begin with, and then it kind of turned into, like, a game and all this other stuff? Yeah. It's like an OG thing from, like, what, the 90s, I think? I don't want to... maybe 80s? The plushie. Keep a hold of that plushie. Don't sell it. Sell only when the market is at its best. Blank, hello, sir. Hope you're well. We are chilling. Trying to scrape plastic. Still. But hopefully things do, improve in time and we can get to playing games. Sir. I mean, with my current health, maybe. If I end up dying, who knows? The goal is to not die, though, ideally. That is the one thing I don't want to do right now. I'm not ready to leave this earth. We were up at like 4 a.m. My schedule's just been shit, man. For about 2 weeks, ever since getting kind of ill with my back problem, I've been off and on sleeping. The goal, though, is to kind of get back to normal come, like, December. December is kind of the time where I want to, you know, get back to, like, a regular schedule, return to variety, stuff like that. Right now, it's kind of all over the place, but, you know, you give it time and we'll get back to it. Because we still do have to play, like, 50 more games, I think, roughly, from, like, variety. Probably more than 50, come to think of it. Yeah, you know what? Like I said before, and I'm sure everyone kind of agrees, it's just when you don't have problems, you don't think about problems. Why would you think about your back hurting when your back doesn't hurt? You know, and then after it hurts, it's like, well, fuck. And it's debilitating, and it's like, well, you know, now I should probably take care of myself a bit more. Although people who are humans and not gamers, you know, you go to the gym, you take care of yourself, you do a little bit more than I do, so I do need to get into that. I think through the event, it was more so kind of just how you balance everything. How do you balance streaming and then going for bouts of exercise and managing your family and just existing? Just a big time management test. There are only so many hours in the day, and sometimes you just kind of want to wake up early and do more with your time, but it's not really healthy to do that, so. Everyone needs some downtime. No, well, you know, crazily enough, it got to me at the very end of the year. Which, if anything, it's better than being a month into it, you know? But, you just reminded me I have to get up again. All right, 1 minute break, folks. 1 minute ad break. I'm just going to step up and walk around and stretch very briefly. Yeah, you just reminded me. Thank you. I did not move in about an hour and a half. Ugh. Alrighty. That should be good enough. That's about a minute. A minute is all I need. Oops. There we go. You know, the one thing I did upgrade from, like, call it a bit excessive, but I ended up getting a Stream Deck. I don't know if anyone's used those before, but they're pretty nice for, like, kind of managing what you've got going on your PC. So, like, it's just a box for hotkeys. It's pretty nice. I can't lie. Like, it is. Ivana was looking at me. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing with this thing? What a waste." And I'm like, "Well, what do you like doing? Clicking through 50 different buttons or pressing a?" Yeah, exactly. It is about workflow. Yeah, for sure. You essentially don't even need to, like, click half of what you typically would click on your screen when you can just click it on, like, the Stream Deck. And you can also hotkey it for, like, goofy different things on stream and whatnot, but it's quite nice, yeah. It's very, very helpful. Yep. They're not the cheapest, but, you know, if you work online and kind of do things at home and your PC is like your main source of income, it's still pretty nice. I actually left for a bit, and then I came back when my girlfriend went to sleep, because I would have been crucified if she had heard me talking at like 5 p.m., which is exactly what happened, so I'm just gonna clean this up, and then I have to leave because I've got an appointment for my back. Oh, they could be cheaper, yeah. I got mine from Amazon, just because it's like a one-day thing, but yeah, I've got a few more appointments. It's just gonna be this week, but I'm fine. At least, I hope that's what he says. Yeah, things have been getting better, so that's nice. I think once my back clears up, I'm probably going to go to the dentist. I'm going to go to some ear specialists to kind of just have my ears cleaned out. I'll go get my eyes checked out. Like, you're a man and you neglect yourself. It's like the most accepting thing these days, I think. So I kind of need to get back to, like, taking care of myself. Well, I don't have, for my, you can get insurance and stuff, but, you know, it'll only last you so long. I don't have a car, though. I usually walk to where I need to be, but for the sake of my back in the last 2 weeks, I've had family help me. Yeah, so either I walk to where I need to go, or I've got family who are very supportive of, like, what I do still. Or you take, like, transit, or you take Uber. So... Vortex, hello, sir. I did get some... Well, I didn't really go back to sleep. I just cleaned up a bit, but yeah. I had, like, a slight closing of the eyes. But I do need to finish this very quickly, folks, and I have to go, okay? I've got an appointment soon, that I have to go prepare for. I gotta go shower, get ready. Mochi's gotta go get some air. And, yeah, then we'll be on the main channel for most of the day. Yeah, I'll be back later. I'm streaming pretty much every day, but it's... Until December, it's gonna be off and on. Like, I'm not really... You know, if I stream here, I can stream for, like, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. On the main channel, I typically want to go for more. And this is just a good change of pace for now, so... We will be on the main channel. I think all we're really going to do is kind of dial in League of Legends for a bit, and then next season go for, like, Challenger. Variety will return in December. We also got to talk about the event a little bit one of these days. People need some mod ship. And, yeah, we'll just go from there. There we go, that's a good alternative conversion. It's nothing crazy, but it's better than having dupes. Could probably shave off more of, like, the helmet and stuff like that, or even sculpt in things, but it should be fine. So we did buy a new camera. The goal of this channel was to always have a good camera. which we ended up purchasing a fairly pricey mirrorless camera. The lighting has stayed the same. I've had this lighting for ages, but the camera is so much better. So, like, right now I've got it on target focus, so it's only going to focus at, like, a certain distance, but it's infinitely better than what it was. Because we used to use, I used to use a webcam for my camera, and the problem with that is that it would always kind of get in the way, and the zoom was terrible, and you'd always have to kind of adjust it, and it just wasn't very good. It was a very tedious thing. But since I do want to take this channel more seriously, and over the years, you know, people have been very kind with, like, supporting this stream and more. So it only made sense to kind of get, like, a good camera. But it is much nicer, for sure. Yeah. The face cam is complete shit. The face cam is garbage, but that's not the point. Yeah, the actual, like, hobby camera is much better. What else am I supposed to be doing? I think that was it, actually. Thought it was a random, then refollowed. You're good, man. It's no worries. A lot of, I made an announcement regarding this channel, but it's in the Discord. Not everyone's gonna see it. You know, there's a new Twitter for this channel. There's, like, a new YouTube channel as well that I do plan on doing, like, Warhammer videos over. It'll most likely be just talking about dwarves in some capacity, whether it's, like, lore or unboxings or, you know, artwork and maybe some interviews with some of the guys who worked on them back in the day. Yeah, stuff like that. There's a few things I do want to do, but I've never really taken to creating videos, so I'm not too familiar with it, but, like, you know, we'll work at it. It's just going to have to be when I have time. Because, you know, I got to stream on the other channel, I got to stream on this channel, and then we have to, in between, kind of maybe do content, so... We'll probably start with something small, just to kind of, like, test the waters as to how I can even do them. Like, how to build plastic miniatures. How to blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, maybe some unboxings of things and talking about sprues and GW history, whatever it may be. Advertise the channel more. I mean, it's being advertised, but I'm not, like, trying to push it or anything right now. It's a very niche thing, you know. Not everyone's going to sit here and be like, man, I want to watch Warhammer. Especially tabletop Warhammer, it's not the biggest thing. I think for those who kind of are in the sphere of tabletop Warhammer, this is something they enjoy, but it's a little bit of a hard sell, and that's not the point of the channel. I'm not trying to, like, bring everyone into it, but it's good to just kind of hang out and talk shop, you know? That was kind of the goal. It's a very low-key type of, like, channel. What the fuck are we listening to? It's not terrible. That's all it's really going to be, man. It's just going to be a chill channel. It's going to be the I'm old and want to scrape plastic type of channel. Oxenfree. A little bit it did, yeah. Which, that game is satanic, but you know. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, Warhammer's not really for everyone. A channel like this isn't everyone's cup of tea. I would like to still pursue it, because Warhammer's been, like, my thing for 20 years, off and on. I just realized I'm 29 years old. I thought I was 26. Oh my god. Next year I'm 30. It's over for Mish. Yeah. Odds and ends for 20 plus years. Delta, hello sir. It's getting better. Late 30s. Oh god, it's even over for you too. It's worse. Yeah, you know what? When we get there, we get there. It's okay. The goal is to enjoy ourselves. Fuck. Minis. I usually chat on both channels, but yeah, this is definitely more of a... Again, it's a low-key thing, so it's like easier to kind of respond and stuff like that. And I'm not really playing a game, so I don't have to like throw 100% of my attention into what's going on. This is the chill zone. I think that should be good for now. Probably revisit it, maybe, but... I think I've seen... No, I don't think I've seen Andor Season 2. I think Season 2 came out during the event, which I never watched anything during. This is Dwarven Quarrelers and Thunderers, and also Rangers. Dwarves with ranged weaponry. Yeah. Obnoxious, bearded little bastards. There you go. They're not really going to stick together. Well, we'll see later today. we do play typically, like, what, 5 hours of League right now? So, we'll see how those 5 hours or so go. Andor is a very good show, though. I'm just not sure if I want to, like, get back into Disney Plus. Disney Plus is kind of shitty. I mean, they do have Alien Earth, I suppose, as well, which I haven't seen. So it would be kind of like two birds with one stone. All right, folks, I think I'm done here for now. It's about 3 hours, and I have to get ready for my appointment. I also have to have breakfast. The new Predator movie I would like to go see, yeah. I'll say this. Since the event has ended, I've seen one movie. And it's not like, you know... it's not like, oh my god, it's a brand new movie. But I used to go to the theaters quite a bit and just watch films and, you know, be involved in entertainment. Good luck with your appointments, yes, sir. The new Predator movie is supposed to be really good, though, for sure. I've seen all the other ones. I've seen, like, the Alien franchise and whatnot, so I heard it was good. If I can drag Ivana to it, I totally will, but she's not really one to go to movies. She's, like, ADHD, so she doesn't want to sit there and try and watch something. But it would be cool to get out, because we've only got out maybe 2 to 3 times since the event ended. And that's just very briefly. The longest being me going to Games Workshop, I think, 2 days ago. Just to kind of pick up odds and ends for the stream. Hang on. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'll have for breakfast, but we'll go see. But folks, that is going to be it for me. So I will see you all later today when I get back on for like the main channel. This channel does have socials and whatnot if you want to go follow them. I'll eventually, you know, be doing YouTube videos, and I've tried to keep up with Twitter and whatnot with just posting things, but nothing crazy yet. But ideally it does turn into something more, you know, more serious. But yeah, so you guys have a great day, have a great night wherever you're from, great morning, and thank you for hanging out, and I will see you all later today, or tonight if I get back on and do something like this again. So peace, folks, and I will see you all later.